Hello everyone, my name is Muir and we've got something new for you today. However, before we get into the video, I'd like to take a moment to tell you that nearly 70% of people who watch our videos are not subscribed. If you're not subscribed, you could do me a huge favor by liking the video, commenting below, subscribing to the channel, and ringing that bell. It really helps out the channel and lets me know that you're liking what I'm making. Alright, without further ado, let's get into the video. Come on, let's kill this guy so we don't do this shit anymore. Nice. Help me. Finally.
We don't have a lot of time. Hey, kid, can you handle this?
It's all right.
Hey!
Huh?
Ew.
In the end, no matter who I may be, even if I serve as little more than an empty vessel, you have stored so many precious memories inside of my heart, and I promise I will never allow them to fade away. Whatever happens, I will always be with you. Just as you will always be within my heart. And now, goodbye.
Well, farewell, you. And welcome back, everyone else.
In the years after Io stopped the relics from frenzying and transformed into the Weeping Tree, Karen and the others discovered a reliable source of blood beads. And the question I've pondered for so long, what as a revenant can I do? What about the outside world and the horrors there? We analyzed the signals intercepted from outside when the red mist appeared. They were countless cries for help. As revenants, we prey upon humanity. We might bring them nothing but misery. Even so, I can't just give up. In the years after Eos and the Queen, even so.
I plan to start research with Karen that will hopefully lead to methods for controlling thirst and revenants. I don't know if we'll ever find an answer, but I'm sure it will lead to better lives in the Jail of the Mists. It would be nice if Louis could work with us.
Love with glasses.
We finally secured a steady supply of blood beads. Once again, we have Io to thank. On the day she took all of the relics, I was suddenly my old self again. And ever since then, she's been producing blood beads and even maintaining the red mist. So even if it's only a little, I want to make it so people can have normal lives in this world she's protecting for us. That's my wish. We finally secured and so that...
This garbage heap may just have become a slightly better garbage heap. That means people have less use for what I'm selling. I'm only joking. Don't worry about me. Do your thing, okay? Don't worry.
Future brother back? Yeah. There he is.
All the power was sucked right out of my body. I was so big and strong. But now look at me. But now Jack's training me to grow strong again. I don't see me as much as I used to, but I always feel close to her, even when we're apart. I think it's because we respect each other so much now. I miss her, but a knight has his duty. All the power would
I've looked through documents from the Great Collapse, and the more I read, the more I understand why those creatures are called horrors. They're immune to even the most powerful weapons, and immortal like the loss that plagued the Jail of the Mists. Now I understand why revenants had to be created. The situation was that dire. And the horrors are still roaming the outside world. It must be incredibly difficult living out there. I've looked through document there.
I've heard people speculate that that Code Variant and God Eater exist in the same setting. That the horrors are the gods, I guess.
The relic's power created the Weeping Tree, thanks to Eo's wish, and there's no sign of the Queen coming back. It must have taken a strong will. We're ordinary revenants without the power of the relics, but our mission still remains. As long as I live, I will continue to watch over that power, together with Jack.
There are no changes in the Weeping Tree. It's completely normal. Don't worry. If anything happens, I swear I'll do everything in my power to stop it. Meanwhile, it's time we both do what we need to. My mission as a Watcher has ended, but my duty to protect the world still remains. I won't allow the hell here to escape and torment those outside.
Is that amber blood bead Io gave you all right? It's a piece of her memory and a manifestation of her strength. Handle it with care. Karen and the others say it's made of the same substance as the Weeping Tree Io gave us after taking on all the relics. It has the ability to alter the relic's influence, if only in a small way.
The
Lost are still a dire threat to the survival of humanity, but the new provisional government is at last on a course to stop them. Silva is pushing reforms to aid as many revenants as possible. I can finally get to the job of exploring the depths in earnest. You've been a great help. I must thank you. Oh, I nearly forgot. I have a message for you. The provisional government would appreciate your cooperation. Please contact the government if you seek work with real meaning.
Today I invited Yakumo to work for the provisional government, but he turned me down outright. Sorry, but just like you've got things you want to do, I've got things I want to do too. Yeah, he hasn't changed a bit. Well, I didn't want to work for them at first either. After a while of fighting to survive, I noticed I'd made a bunch of friends along the way. And here I am stuck with them. But I guess they're all pretty great, so I don't regret it at all.
I'm glad to see that things have calmed down a bit here. Although Louie's worried again. Are the two of you ever satisfied? You finally earned some peace, so why not enjoy it? Well, whatever you choose, I'll go along with you. Do what you feel is right.
You know, Yakima. You know it. Anything new down here? In any of the bedrooms? I remember, as a side note, I remember hearing that in Europe, people sleep with the comforter or doublet right on top of them. No sheet intervening between them. In between them. Here in America, where we're from, as you can tell, we have a thin sheet between us and the comforter or doublet. Alright. Is there anything in the hot springs? Now that we've got everyone here. Let's go find out. You can view past memories. You want to? There are no items to get here. It's also if you have haze out. If you have haze sitting in the world, I think you can get half of it back here. So that's one thing. Alright. Alright. Let's go. Doesn't look like there's anything new here, so let's go ahead and see what awaits us next. Part out of the red mists. Well, yes.
You're leaving into the outside world?
Yeah, I figured that's what you would do. I can't say I approve of you heading out alone, though.
At least say something before you go. After all, we're supposed to be friends, right?
And since you guys insist on charging ahead all the time, you're going to need someone to keep things running smoothly.
To be honest, I'm not sure how welcome revenants will be in the outside world. But we have to keep reminding ourselves that we were all created for a reason. I'll carry on Cruz's dream. Just like you carried Eos. Let's go.
Eo.
Spreading out before me, a paradise of rubble, crumbling, struggling, longs to be reborn. But somewhere in the distance, I hear a voice calling to me that will not subside. Though I may be weary and battered, body and tatters, I will go on again and rebuild this frail world, even if the ones that I fight for are frightened of me. do you know how softly the breezes could sing if we let them come through with a mind all their own? On this day I swear I won't falter, oh nothing else matters. My memories drive me to where I must go. There are no more lives that we need to watch disappear from the ashes of those who have gone before. Spread a light
Alright, so we now have Hades. And the Queen. Alright. So complete, you can now play using post-completion data. Start a new game again, just from before the... Alright. Okay, so let's just think about this. The game, I think, could have been, if it had another 6 months of polish on things. So Cobain's a good game. It has lots of what calling rough spots would be being extremely nice. So that just is what it is. We are still level 30. But it has a lot of spots that I could very politely call rough. I think is the nicest way to put that. Let's go back to home base. But with 6 months of with another 6 months to a year of polish on everything, it could have been like as good as like any other Souls. It could have been potentially as good as other Souls games. At the moment, there are some parts of the game that are on par, I would say. Like the beginning of the game is fairly on par with Souls titles. The middle of the game's pretty decent as well. No real problems there. The bosses all act like Souls bosses. When we get to Cannoneer and Blade Bearer, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense how the game is set up. And unless you hard counter them by just... And by the way, how we countered them wasn't even as hard as you could go. Just to point this out. If we really wanted to, let's just go to EOS, why not? If we wanted to, all we really need to do to make them do absolutely nothing to us would be to go over to shields, flame protection, ice armor, and then there's... Let's see, where is it? It might be this, but it's what we would get from EOS. It basically gives us even more defense against stuff. Let's see. Hey, can we work on that now? It's not Bridge to Glory, it's Elemental Wall. So let's put that on there. Let's see, Elemental Wall, there it is. And this. So, I'm just curious if it actually shows us what our elemental defense is. Resistance is... yeah, fire and ice. So it's at about 40 for each. So after throwing those up, we're looking at fire and ice is like 89. We add this in, now it's it's over 100. So this basically means they're not going to do any damage to us. Or they will do very, very little damage to us. So, aside from like the physical hits when they're landing something, we can now just essentially ignore many of their attacks. And just wail on them until they die. So you can hard counter them, a lot of things, but the whole aspect of Soulsborne games, what makes them good is that you can, in theory, complete them at like minimum level 1, and either dodge everything if you're playing a Souls-like, if you're playing a Soulsborne game, or block everything and dodge everything you need to dodge if you're playing Sekiro. But the whole point remains, you can do everything at base level with no upgrades, no items, with a the metal pipe in this game, and you have no problems at base level. And the other aspect is that once you really know how things work, it's not that difficult. So here's the problem. We look at the knight with his whole spin to win attack. I don't think that can be consistently dodged. Unless you just, I don't know, unlock and then dodge. Maybe that's how you're supposed to do it, but that actually defeats the purpose of having the lock-on. In Dark Souls 3, they had the being able to dodge in a 360 area. So they got around that. I think the time it takes for you to start running while locked on is a bit long. I think that should be increased. Like, maybe the moment I hit it. Or like a second or so after I hit it. Like a tenth of a second after I hit it. Or half a second. Because if I'm moving sideways, I probably want to keep moving sideways. Like, to put it in perspective, here's what it is. I'm going to tell you when I hit it. So, moving, and hit. So that is what? 1 Mississippi, 2. That's about 1 in a 10th seconds. 1 in the 10th, 1 in the 20th seconds. Well, 1 in the 10th, 1 in the 5th seconds. That's ridiculous in a game like this. So if I want to run away from an attack or something, what I have to do effectively is unlock and then start running. So like, this shouldn't be a better option necessarily than this. But this is so much worse. The only thing I could think of is they had people who wanted to do this, and they were instead running. That was causing them to do something else. So that's the only thing I can think of, but you wouldn't necessarily just hold it down to do that. You would like press it and then do the thing. So I don't know. So that's not great. There are some other things. Silva's mostly fine. I'm not a fan of if I have animations that are really long to do things, and an enemy can literally start their own animation, move across the entire boss arena, and one-shot me, or at least come close to that. That's not good design, and that should never be allowed. And I know where they're getting that from too. They're getting it from Gwyn, by the way. So Gwyn has an ability where if you're really far away from him, he will jump in the air, flying towards you, and do a big swipe against you. The thing is, you can, if you're far enough away from him and you start drinking an Estus, if he does that attack, you still have enough time to finish drinking the Estus and dodge before he hits you. I think. If not, then that's bad design. But that's more of their way of trying to balance that fight. If you wait until after he's already in the air, he's probably going to hit you. But if you start drinking and then he starts his animation of jumping towards you to attack you, you should have enough time to dodge out of the way. So that's just an example of Dark Souls doing it right. And here it's not done right. Here it's done very poorly in that regard. trying to think of other things. The enemies that have really large AoEs should not be able to spam them. Those should have a somewhat substantial timer on them, especially when they will one-shot you. Or at least they'll one-shot you when you're at my level. If they do a substantial amount of damage, you want to make it to where they can't really spam them. You want to give the boss better options than just that. Because if it's just that, well, the boss is realistically going to be able to use it like twice or thrice per fight, 2 or 3 times a fight, then you can make it really punishing to get hit by. If instead it's really punishing to be hit by and the boss can just spam it, then you have a bullcrap move that the boss has that the boss probably shouldn't have. So it is what it is. For a Virgin Reborn, it doesn't feel like a Souls boss. Virgin Reborn doesn't feel like it belongs in Code Vein. It has attacks that are effectively unavoidable. If you do somehow avoid it, like it's fly in the air and rain down all these like spikes attack. If that hits you, okay. If it doesn't hit you, okay, I guess you got lucky. I can't figure out a way to... I didn't figure out a way to effectively avoid that 100% of the time. It was almost getting hit by 100% of the time. Even while trying to figure out how to avoid it. To the point where it was just like, well, okay, well this is just free damage the boss gets now, because we can't do anything about it. We can't block it, we can't really dodge it, it's literally just... We're in that one area where none of those spikes are going to hit. And for that reason, we don't take damage. Okay. And the thing is, as a player, as a player in a Souls-like game, you should never have that moment where you're uncertain where you're uncertain why you got hit by something. It should always be obvious to you. The way to avoid damage should be obvious and intuitive to the player. If it's not obvious and intuitive to the player, then you need to add something to that. If by definition it isn't necessarily intuitive, you should probably fix that, because this is a fighting game, kind of, sort of. This is basically a fighting game. It's not a puzzler. It's not a mystery game. It's not a puzzle game. So you want to avoid anything where the players are sitting there wondering, how do I do this? And having to like sit there and stare at the boss as the boss is flying around in the sky. Oh man, how do I do this? That's crap. Don't do that. Don't do that crap in this type of game. That does not work well. Now, I'm not saying you should make the boss easy. The boss can be very brutal. Think about when the Knight Reborn was doing his thing where it was just constant attack, 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 attack. Like, those can be good. Now just make it so that... Now just imagine that he does that fewer times. However, after a little bit of a pause where he basically avoids the player, he goes back into doing it again. Which means that now, dealing with him is, well, this... instead of something else. We're now trying to avoid this boss that is doing everything it can to kill you. And if its spin to win attack was better and more dodgeable, then you know, perhaps you could weave those in there a little bit with a different sound effect, like a very distinct sound effect when he's going to do each one. And so, or like maybe the color when he teleports is different, like not slightly different, not like maroon to slightly dark red. But like maybe when he does his spin to win, when he disappears, it's blue. When he does his teleport up, it's red. You know, something like that, so players can realize that, okay, well, I need to dodge that way versus this way and that way, or maybe bad. And so then it becomes a game about doing those things, and that could be interesting. Not sure how block builds would deal with that. But all kinds of little things you could do to diversify boss fights. And typically, how things generally work is the mechanics that you're having show up in fights, in boss fights, are going to be mechanics that will show up later in the game. So, also, so just as a note, if you can parry bosses, you should be able to parry pretty much everything the boss throws at you. Not some attacks you can't, some attacks you can. No. No, 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 no. No, 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 no. If you can parry the boss, make it to where pretty much everything that could be parryable is parryable. Doesn't matter if it's a big overhead strike, doesn't matter if they just charged up for 10 hours. If they're using their weapon, and you can parry it, and you can parry them, you should be able to parry everything. If that means that suddenly the boss is too easy, have the boss use feints. Maybe for his big attack, he charges up and then he sort of goes, but not really, and then goes. Maybe he sort of maybe like he sort of swings, but not really, and then swings. Just so you can try to, mix it up a little bit. The difference in timing, if it's like a recycled boss, can be amazing. The, what is it, Smelter Demon in Dark Souls 2 versus the second Smelter Demon that you can fight that's blue instead of red. That one tripped up so many players. Even though Dark Souls 2 was like the black sheep of the Dark Souls family. So I'm just trying to think what else we can do here to improve the game. I do like blood codes, so that works. Being able to build your class out of all of these is really nice. It could feel like crap, but it doesn't. That makes any sense. I'm still waiting to see what happens when I take Ishtar and like have this going, and then somebody gets hit with something that's hitting them constantly, like Immolator. Because like, okay, so they take damage, they take some of my health, but I instantly get at least 1 health back. So then they just continually take, 50 damage, which goes to me, which reduces me to 1 health. But then I heal 1 hit point almost immediately. So, okay, they're back of it. They're able to gain 1 hit point again. That might be hilarious. Or you're doing that and they're running around in the fireplace. Like Fireland. You just start hearing goosh, 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 arr, arr, arr. So just dying over and over. That'd be stupid, but it'd be great. Let's see. Maybe adding some animation canceling would work well for you. It really depends. It's one of those things where you need to go whole hog. You need to go 100% for something. Are you going to have animation canceling or are you not? Are you going to have anything like that or are you not going to have anything like that? Because you really need to choose 100% and just go all for it. So, and then build all your bosses around that. Are you supposed to animation cancel like Sekiro? At which point, great. Make it to where that's how the game works. Are you not supposed to animation cancel at all? Okay, well, now you have to make it so that you understand that people are going to get hit a lot simply because they're going to be swinging at the enemy and something's going to hit them. That means you can't have people be permanently stun locked. Otherwise, people just die. So, if someone gets hit, there's this really quick animation where they go, like in Dark Souls 3, and then you can dodge. Or you get a hard knockdown. Something. Get a hard knockdown and immunity when you're on the ground. Something. But, yeah. With enough polish, the game would be phenomenal. Right now it's like 80-90%. I maybe a 70, depending on what part you're at. I would like for it to be 95, 100%, but that's not going to happen. So, it just needs a ton of polish in certain areas, and maybe some updates on mechanics. Not sure of that. That said, there are people who spend their time, and you know, there's like the golden pipe challenge in the DLCs where you have what are effectively God Eater enemies, and people kill them with like a pipe. I don't know if you have to do it at level 1 or not, but yeah, people do it. And more power to him. Levis Jr. essentially got his start streaming by doing challenge runs of Dark Souls 1. So there's nothing stopping you. Yo, you're back. You have anything new to say?
What is it? It seems I can restore the...
Nope.
You were going...
Alright. All kinds of good stuff. But I would like to see improvements here and there. Character customization is fun. There have been people in the Discord and such who are confused as to how blood veils and blood codes interact. They don't realize that blood veils, basically their scaling is basically their damage when you do their charge attack, or when you do their combo, where you attack with a weapon and then R1 and X. So there are some things. So let's just see how high we could get in level if we had decided to level up. It's probably around, 150 or so. Maybe higher. 200. Yeah, 165. If we wanted to, we could be there. But yeah, the early game is good. The end game has some problems because they needed to up the ante and they didn't know how to make the game harder. They didn't know how to make... They didn't necessarily understand how to design the bosses to be more difficult while still being 100% fair. Virgin Reborn is an example of that, with their, like, BS attack. So, I understand that when I was looking at Virgin Reborn and its jump, where it jumps in the air and lands on, and tries to land on you, it's basically just they're mimicking Ludwig from Bloodborne. He jumps into the air and he tries to land on you. The thing is, Ludwig stays up there for a bit. It isn't just like suddenly he jumps in the air and he's down. Like, he jumps in the air, stays up there for a little bit for gravity parabolas and such, and then lands on you. Or you can do a delay where he hangs onto the ceiling. So I would recommend maybe toning that back, where it's not just instant, where it's not almost like half a second or instant. As I've said before, the boss having a big AoE attack, that's crap. Don't bother with that. It's garbage. They did that in Dark Souls 2 with the Ancient Dragon, and people would just go get the 100% fire resistant shield and put all the fire resist gear and then just basically ignore that. Ignore that attack, bait it out, take no damage from it from blocking, and then whack the boss a few times and then just repeat until the boss dies. So nobody likes things like that. That's garbage. If you're playing a slow class, you're screwed. If you're playing a quick class, if you run out of stamina, you might be screwed. You'll just be one shot instead of, mostly damaged. So there are some things. So what can we change? What would I change about the Virgin Reborn? Well, it's slow down their jump in the air and land on you attack. Jump in the air, then they land on you instead of jump down. Instead of jump land, it's jump land. Something like that. I would try to give it more distance makers, if you will, where it like slams its fist down and jumps away from you. I give it some where it jumps away and then does a charge or something like that. Tries to do a big wide swipe with its long arm. You're supposed to dodge. You're supposed to dodge left through it or right through it. Probably you're supposed to dodge in the direction the arm is coming from. I would try to give it, make it so that whenever somebody gets under it, it tries to, maybe it has a flip it can do. I think that would be cool. It has like, it like throws its hind legs over it, spinning around in the air, slams its fists down where it was, lands its legs, and then immediately goes into an attack or something. And the fists might do like a knockdown or a stagger or something. You still have this. You still have to dodge when the step, you know, right after, before the attack comes out. But you know, something like that. I think that could work out well. What I would like is its whole. It only shoots one of those spikes at you at a time, unless it's doing its BS fly in the air, damage the entire arena. Except for maybe it doesn't damage the entire arena. It damages like 99.99999% of the arena, and you somehow don't take damage. You know, maybe that. So it has the one where it's standing and it just fires one at you. Why not? It fires one, and then another, and then another, and then another, and then another, to force you to dodge or to block or something. That could be cool. So, like, if we have a dodge timing in, I mean, we have a dodge timing in the game. So, I mean, if our dodge timing is this, why not capitalize on that? Like, find out what the stamina is for level 1, and then build it around that. Whatever that may be. They don't necessarily need to home, but you could make it so that they maybe lead the player a little bit, so that if they are just moving in one direction, they'll get hit. If they're trying to run, it leads them just enough to hit them if they're running and out dodging. So force them to dodge effectively. So that could be really cool. The other players will just block it, and that's fine. And there's options for that. But yeah. Of course, this does open us up to things like this, where it fires, and it fires, and it fires, and it fires, and it fires. So that means people can probably do this without attack. So that's the thing people could potentially do. But yeah, I'm trying to think of other things.